attendance, Trustee Holzer.
Here.
Trustee Fornicola.
Here.
Trustee Santiago.
Here.
Trustee Dash.
Here.
Trustee Amato.
Here.
Trustee Carbora. Trustee Rizzo is here. Trustee Stanton.
Here.
And we have an excused Trustee Donato.
Okay. Everyone has the minutes from last month. We're going to chance to review them.
I'd like to make a motion to pass last month's minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Treasurer's report. I believe Cindy is.
Yeah, I think
She did. Cindy.
Did she
No report since
forward?
2018.
I have not seen it. I'm not sure if it was sent to Larry or not.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
I didn't.
So we'll get a copy.
None of them said anything about it.
Law enforcement. Mr. Payne.
I know we have a law enforcement meeting after the executive session tonight, but there's no, the chief didn't forward any specific report.
Okay, making progress. Law committee. Sir,
Nothing pending.
didn't you have some? Was there one bill you asked Tinny about? Did you have any report on yet?
There are two bills that I asked him about, but he said that they were naturally reoccurring bills, and he was getting more information on whether or not they're realistic.
Membership?
No new members this time.
Well, it's gonna be quick, huh, people? Finance committee, we don't have the treasurer, so. Admiral advocate report,
Nothing.
0.
Nothing.
Okay.
Well, you want to talk about Union County though?
What do you, I mean,
How many do you have left?
I have 5 left.
Okay, so we did a search warrant 2 months ago. Pulled 19 dogs out of a house in Plainfield. And 14 of them, right, or 12 of them are in rescue.
Yes.
And you have 5 left.
5 left.
all adults.
Yes.
And we are going to trial, or we're going to court this month on that.
Their evidence.
Their evidence for now, yeah.
Visionary committee.
We did not have a very big response for members who wanted to be a part of it. So if you are still wanting to, please let me know. And we're going to be doing primarily, you have the telecom, you can do the phone thing, right?
Yes.
So our meetings are primarily going to be by phone. So if you can participate, we would appreciate it. That's it.
And again, the purpose of that committee is to come up with a blueprint or white paper about what the future of the SPCA could be post August 1st. So give it some thought. If anybody's interested, please let us know.
We did have some civilian interest. They were just away this week and will be letting us know.
And you had finals.
And I had finals.
How'd you do?
My finals, I got A's. Thank you.
Good job.
Yeah. Almost done.
Ed is not here.
I can
So-
do
He's
it.
on the line.
Oh, you have? Did he give you? Oh,
He
good.
didn't give me the full report.
But you know it.
Well, I know some of it. We do have one possible event. Cranberry Animal Hospital has asked us to join for an adoption event, so I'm waiting for them to call me back on that. And then anything else Ed can forward to us. But he's been in contact with me today and didn't say forward anything.
That was Livingston Safety.
We did not have anyone report to come. We only had one person say they would come, so we did not go.
Okay. Old business. Anybody have any old business? No? New business.
So, Matt and Phil, you guys can talk obviously more knowledgeably about it, but the meeting with the AG that went down, I know that they made a comment about our assets. Some of our fleet is really starting to take a beating.
Okay.
And honestly, we could offload it and save some insurance money on some of it. But we were waiting for clarification as to that process.
Sure.
So with the board's permission, I'd like to start to defleet some of the older cars. I don't know what standard you guys want me to come up with. Usually I base the value of the asking price on what KBB says the what the value of the vehicle is. And obviously, any of those vehicles that are sold, the money would go back to the agency, and they have to be stripped of all their police lettering and things like that. But I usually handle that stuff. So I'd like to begin that process with some of the older, dying cars now, sooner rather than later, because I strip them my stuff usually.
Well, step one obviously is, just let me take a step back. We met with the Attorney General's office. What date was that? April?
It was like 2 weeks ago.
Late April. And about 4 or 5 folks there, the individual that runs the prosecutors around the state, the Assistant Attorney General. We talked about the law, talked about the implementation of the law, talked about the fact that we were doing an inventory of their assets, of all of our assets, which we're in the process of doing. We talked about the need for the disposition of weapons. Talked about some cases in terms of what if there's money that flows after, if the law goes into, assuming the law goes into effect. You know, and removal of all police stuff, markers from the vehicles. That was discussed, a very detailed conversation about that.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the statute in terms of what we need to remove and not remove.
So, but in terms of the bigger picture, in terms of the collection and disposition of assets, the Attorney General's office really at this point, it's nothing to do with it. It's really up to us. We have to work with consumer affairs folks in terms of what is the word in the law is reincorporation of the SPCA. Unless there was that one section in the new law that talks about working with the AG's office. Their position is, unless you're looking for assistance from the state, whether financial or whether it's organizational, yes, you would have to come before them. If we decide to stay the NSPCA, change our name, reincorporate, we'd have to deal with all the regular thing any other 501c3 would have to abide by in terms of filings and all that. But unless we're looking for specific assistance from the Attorney General's office, they don't see a role that they play. That's their position on that section of the bill. I believe it's section 34. So they were very clear about that. So, I mean, Phil, you were there. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
No, just to add to Matt said, it's basically up to the board of where the assets, what we do with our assets. And the Attorney General's office had no objection to moving assets for like, meaning if you want to move your assets or donate your assets to another animal welfare organization, they had no objection to that. Obviously, you can't move your assets to a construction company or support some pool company.
Sure, absolutely.
That was they took no position on. It's up to the board. They're more concerned about our weapons and so forth. So it's really up to the board as far as what goes on with the assets here.
So that goes in with the divisioning committee in terms of what we want to be August 1st and how we want to act and what our mission is going to be going forward. So it was a very pleasant meeting, very good conversation. It was non-confrontational, and that was really it.
Matt, who was there?
Steve
Finkel.
AAG, a couple other folks who I just don't have their names in front of me right now. I can get you their names. I have them on my phone. I'll go give them to you at the end. Very pleasant conversation. It was take your daughters to work day. Whoever knows what that day was. That was because there was a little girl in the room. Who wants to be a vet, by the way. It was actually very nice.
It was that day when you took your kids to work.
Yeah, it was take your daughter to work day. That was the day we had a meeting. So.
And when they were talking about working with the Division of Consumer Affairs, that was to reincorporate?
No, in terms with respect to the monitor that we still have as a 501c3, separate and apart from everything else that's going on, we still have to comply with the monitor.
Okay.
Is their position. I did speak to Larry about that. He has someone that he's interviewed, and that we would bring forward to the board. Today I was hoping to finalize that with him, but
I'm not sure that would apply if we reincorporate into something else, though.
well, that would be up to them. But at the same time, we have that document we'd have to adhere to, and we'd have to put someone in place. And I hear he's close, so that's it.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions?
So I guess my question would be from a asset perspective in terms of the vehicles. I know we're doing our count and our tally, but there are some vehicles that we could definitely take off the road now and take the insurance off of them.
I have no
Does
objection.
the board have
Anybody have any
a
objections?
guideline? Is there a fair market, within $500 of the fair market value of the vehicle? Is there something that you guys want me to adhere to? Or is it just the best offer I can get for the vehicles that need to be pulled from the road?
My suggestion would be do some percentage, because $500 doesn't mean anything if the car's
Right.
worth $500. So I would do a percentage, but I think using the Kelly Blue Book obviously is a recognized standard. I'll just discussion on that with the caveat that all of the funds come back and stay within the organization until post August 1st. And then the organization post August 1st can decide what they want to do with the assets.
The AG's office was pretty clear with respect to stripping those vehicles.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the statute in regards to what's required of us.
Yeah, good.
So that I'm not concerned with. I'm
And
just
just keep
concerned with,
an inventory.
is there a cost in mind for you guys? Is it, if the Crown Victoria that's, 10 years old is only worth $1,500 on Kelly Blue Book, but I only have an offer for $750, is that okay? Because that's the best offer I got.
Well, it depends on what kind of condition the car is in too.
Right, of course, but
You know, I mean, you're not gonna get.
I'm not pulling
Just 'cause
anything.
Kelly Blue Book- Just because Kelly Blue Book says it's worth $1,500, if it's got high mileage and it was beat up and stuff like that, you might only get $750 for it.
Right, and,
It's a reasonable
and on the
offer.
flip side, it could be in better shape than that, but my plan is to only pull what's absolutely
How
necessary.
many
to take
vehicles,
out.
how many vehicles are you talking about right now?
Pulling,
Yeah,
like probably 4.
okay. And I'm assuming they're like high mileage, Crown
They're
Vics.
extremely high, they're
High
upwards of
hours.
150,000 miles, they're high hours, they are in need of repairs.
So we're talking really scrap prices.
Yeah,
Plus the cost of stripping.
I just strip on my own.
You doing
time.
your own? Okay, thank you. Okay.
I would think if they're, what he's describing, they really have almost no value. So I think whatever you can get from them, I would be in favor.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm okay with that.
So do you want to stick with a percentage based on the value?
I mean, there's got to be some.
It's kind of hard to put a guidance on,
Yeah,
it's gonna be a
yeah.
case-by-case basis on each vehicle. I mean, you may have a real clunker, and you may have something that is 150,000. My truck has 170,000 miles. I intend to go to 300,000 in my truck.
Right, but I mean, obviously some things are maintained differently,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
And plus with the Crown Vics, that they may have hundreds more hours running on them that don't show on the
Right,
odometer,
they're
and that
just-
translates
that's
to 33
So
miles per hour.
my only guidance would be that it be an arm's length transaction,
Absolutely. I agree with that.
which means that nobody that is part of the organization or a relative of somebody in the organization can buy the vehicle.
I agree with that.
It has to be an arm's length transaction.
Just go to an auction house and some short.
If we're
Used
looking
car
for
dealer.
like a baseline, what if we call like Hackensack, like one of the
KBB
auto
will give
wrappers?
you the baseline. KBB is a website that shows the value of a vehicle.
Right, but I'm saying for like what we can get, because like you said, it could be, your best offer could be less than Kelly Blue Book. So if we say an auto wreckers will give you 700, but your best offer is 600.
So in the past, I've usually done that. I've called scrapyards and said, what do you want? I fancy myself a salesman, so I try to get the best of amount for them.
They're not donatable.
What do you sell on the side, I wonder?
They're not, right?
Not the 4 or 5 that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, okay.
If
They're
we're-
that bad.
If we're thinking of some of the newer stuff, absolutely donatable to maybe a county charter as we get closer to the end, but not these 4 or 5. There are 2 that are sitting on the parkway right now at the state police barracks that are, one's dead and doesn't even start, and the other one, the power steering is shot and the AC doesn't work.
You're gonna get a lot for that one.
We have another one that was in a minor fender bender during the winter, but it wasn't enough that we pulled it out of fleet then, but now it's got a trans issue, so there's no, I don't want to dump money into repairing them. I've just kind of been making do.
Understood. So with respect to the vehicles, it's pretty clear. It's a pretty simple process, strip them and dispose of them. And, what we're gonna do is we're gonna send a letter to the AG's office with our notes from the meeting, saying we met on this date, we agreed to we talked about the following. They're expecting an inventory of everything from us, just to make sure that they understand where we're at. And hopefully they'll either respond to that letter saying, yes, we agree, or no, we think this, we think that. So this really was an opportunity for us to get some guidance with respect to unwinding. So we just got to put it in writing, and hopefully we'll figure that out. So, because when you get into the weapons issue, when you get into the ammunition issue, there's specific guidelines, and they have to go to an FFL, and then they can hold them, and you may be able to buy them if it's your personal weapon, and then there's all kinds of weapon rules.
Yeah, so they were okay with us selling them, donating them back to an FFL. Again, it's up to us as the assets or how they're disposed. And if an officer here wants to purchase them from that FFL, you obviously have to have the proper firearm permits like a normal civilian would. So, and that's how you can purchase the weapon back. And it's up to the FFL and us how those funds are worked out.
You have everything down to badges and all that stuff. So we're in the process of working on that and the inventory stuff.
So should I hold off on selling cars?
I don't have a problem with those 4 vehicles at all.
Okay.
There's
And
definitely
I
no,
think we
there's
should
no
get rid of
issue.
them if you can, get them off the insurance.
Yeah.
The only other thing I might suggest, if you are looking for those 2 dead ones, to donate. Some of the high schools have auto programs that'll take them, like Auto Shop.
Yeah, like Lincoln Tech. and
Yeah,
stuff
Lincoln
like that.
Tech, Bergen
Yeah, I
Tech.
usually run through all those types of places. I mean, in the past, my process has always been to post them publicly, whether it's eBay or Craigslist, so that they're out there for anybody to see. I give a brief description on them, and then I'll also like call auto record yards and say, "This is what it is. Do you have any need? What's the best price you can give me?" So, do you need a motion?
Do we need to make a motion on that? Well, I'll make a motion that we give Mr. Rizzo the authority to dispose of those 4 vehicles.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Anything else? New business?
New business. I sent out an email roughly 29 days ago from our last meeting to make some bylaw changes. Well, I don't think one of them at this time is important. I'm just going to go over the 2 bylaw changes anyway until we reincorporate and then decide at that time. So I'd like to make a motion to make the following bylaw changes. One was the monthly board meetings, and it was really to do it every other meeting, but the way it works out, to keep the January meeting, because that's a first of the month, a vote could be the voting month and all that, January has to remain intact. So it would be the second Tuesday of January, March, May, September, November, still be off for the summer, July and August. Those would be our meetings proposed. Obviously, any emergency meetings or that comes up and about, we can still have our telephonics.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, you want to repeat those months again?
Yeah.
January, March, May, September, and November. We still have July and August, off. So
We have June, July, and August.
Right, June, July, and August off.
And we had discussed starting that in September, right? So
No, it would actually
this
start.
June?
No, this June would start.
Would start now?
Yeah, meeting effective for June, so we wouldn't have a meeting in June. We'd come back in September. But any business that we need to discuss, as far as having meetings, you can call a meeting.
Yes, so discussion? Sorry.
Discussion.
Yeah, so,
Well, wait, you gotta have a second before.
well, no,
You can discuss
Yeah,
it
after
first.
Discuss
second,
and then
after-
second.
We're just,
It's usually first.
we're
second
discussing first.
we're discussing first because we're not seconding a motion because I'm going to try and defeat the motion at the moment.
Or amend.
Right, or amend the motion. So, yes, I would
We
amend.
call it getting board member input.
I would amend the motion to start it sometime after August 1st. Given the current situation, I think taking off the next 2 meetings prior to the potential reincorporation, or at least the 1 meeting, right, the June meeting is, I think that there are things still to be discussed.
And you could still do that. So
What do you mean?
you can still do that. You can have a telephonic call about it.
So right now, we're meeting in June.
Right.
We take July, August off,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
we go back September.
Right, so my recommendation would be to have the June meeting and then start up
It
after.
it doesn't matter to me, so if I'll amend it to, then I would have to change all these dates.
No, you could.
No.
you
But I
could-
mean, but even so, even coming back in.
Oh, just start in September.
Right,
Right.
Okay, that's fine.
so
I'm
we'd
okay with
meet, right, September
So we'll
was
still
one of
keep
the
June
months
the way
that
it
you
is,
said.
we're off July and
Right,
August
you
anyway.
wrote down the months,
And
September
then
was
be-
one of the
start
months.
Yeah, start,
Yeah.
September to be effective, I have no problem with that.
But even coming back as a new, possible new organization in August,
Yes.
I don't know that we should be going every other month until we're established in what we are, who we are, what we're doing. I mean, this is the only place that a lot of people and everybody that's sitting out there really get their information. I mean, I understand that maybe you have, you guys as officers have more meetings and have more things going on, but for those of us that are just general membership or even just general board members, we really don't intertwine with all that stuff. So this monthly meeting is how we all find out what's going on, and to have it every other month, especially right now in the position that we're in, I just don't think it's a good idea. Maybe come January, but right now I think we just have way too much going on to. I mean, as it is, we're already skipping July and August. So to not come back full force in September.
But whether we vote this or not, next month is our last meeting until September.
Right, but what I'm saying is, so in September, if we are a new organization in September, there's still a lot we need to figure out. What we're gonna do, who's gonna do what position we're gonna play, what are, you know what I mean? There's still a lot to.
Right, but that would be, I think that's something that, whether the white paper for the visionary committee is done before then or by September, at that discussion, we could even think about amending it. Because at that point, we also, correct me if I was wrong, you proposed this because you have both these meetings and the law
I was
enforcement
gonna
stuff.
get to that.
And at that point,
won't be
there won't be a
There
law
won't be a law,
enforcement
right, so
commitment.
that- right.
So coming back with a white paper saying this is what we're proposing to set up, that might be the time to restructure it another time.
There's a lot of other stuff we'll discuss at the law enforcement meeting that goes into play of having extra time, so we can do that stuff as well.
So Phil, just to play this out a little bit for your consideration.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
Sorry. So technically, when the organization gets reincorporated, there would have to be a reconstitution of the bylaws.
Completely.
So if we play this out and that June is the next and last meeting, if nothing else changes, and August 1st is a change in the status of the organization, does it pay to go forward with an amendment to the bylaws that will effectively need to be ratified all over again, and it would cease to exist as of August 1st? So we're amending the bylaws, and it won't actually have an impact at all.
Well, yes and no, it's because we need other time, we need some time as a group to do some other things to unwind. Or to position some other things, and unless you're gonna have a new set of bylaws by August 1st to vote on for a new organization, then I would say, yeah, then this is kind of like a waste of time. But is somebody gonna have those bylaws proposed by August 1st?
And to that point, why would we have a new set of bylaws? The AG made it clear that the reconstitution means nothing.
I'm not saying